Hey, this is Arjun, and I'm the CEO of doola.com, a business in a box. Doola is a venture-backed startup that has successfully raised over $13 million from the likes of Y Combinator, HubSpot Ventures, Nexus Venture Partners, Cody Sanchez, Graham Stephan, Sahil Bloom, and more, just to name a few. I promise you by the end of this video, I will answer, can a non-US citizen own an LLC? I'll tell you the answer now, yes you can. And the way we're going to cover this is, step 1, understanding how a non-citizen can actually be the owner of an LLC. Step 2, how to form an LLC as a non-US citizen. I'll then run through factors to consider with LLCs for non-US citizen members, and then I'll run through how you can do this with Doola's help. Without further ado, let's dive in. The United States offers a uniquely favorable business structure for small business owners and entrepreneurs globally. It's called a limited liability company. A limited liability company, or an LLC, offers privacy protection, personal asset protection, and simplified administration. Can a non-US citizen own an LLC? I'll say it again, yes. If you're not a US citizen, the great news is that you can form an LLC. I'm going to understand how to do this and the key factors you should know to inform your decision. Step 1, understanding how a non-US citizen can be the owner of an LLC. A non-US citizen can be the owner of an LLC. LLC owners are called members. Both individuals and entities can be a member of an LLC. Non-resident aliens or non-residents, US-based entities, and non-US business entities can all be LLC members. That means even an LLC can be a member of another LLC. As a non-US citizen, you can still open a company in the USA or be a partner in an LLC. How can you form an LLC as a non-US citizen? The process for forming an LLC as a non-US citizen requires a few simple filings. First, you'll need to decide on a business name and where you plan to establish the LLC. Find the best states to open an LLC, and you can check out some of the pros and cons we cover. Then, you must file what's called the Articles of Organization with the Secretary of State or the relevant state office. As a non-US resident, you'll need a registered agent for the LLC and a registered office in the state where you registered the LLC before you're able to actually file the Articles of Organization. After the LLC is formed, you can then apply for your EIN, your Employer Identification Number. You can open a business bank account, and you can use our partners to do that, and you can obtain any necessary business licenses or permits. I'm going to run through some factors to consider for LLCs with non-US citizen members. There are a number of factors that affect LLC formation for non-US citizens, from compliance laws and taxation implications to visas or even cultural barriers. Here's what you'll need to consider to ensure the success of your new US LLC. Compliance with laws. Non-US citizen members should ensure they comply with all applicable US laws and regulations, including those related to business formation, operation, and reporting. You may need to apply for a US visa. And if you have any questions on visas, you can check out our content on that topic. Registered agents. Non-US citizens need to appoint a US-based representative, a registered agent, in order to fulfill certain legal obligations, and the registered agent helps you receive official communications on behalf of the LLC. Now, you could serve as a registered agent if you have a friend or if you live in the US, but if you don't, I strongly recommend outsourcing this. Let a partner like Doola or hire a registered agent business to serve as a registered agent. Tax implications. Non-US citizen members should be aware of any tax obligations they may have due to their ownership in an LLC, including potential withholding requirements or reporting obligations to the state or the IRS. If the LLC earns income in the US, you will be responsible for filing income tax with the IRS. Depending on tax treaties between your country of residence and the US, you may have to pay taxes in both countries. You can learn more about tax filing requirements for your US company in our video on international tax filing requirements. Visa requirements. Non-US citizen members can open an LLC, but you may need to obtain specific visas or permissions to participate in the activities of the LLC. You could apply for a B1 business visa or an E1 or E2 investor visa, depending on your situation and how long you plan to stay in the US. Funding and financing. Non-US citizen members may face challenges in accessing certain types of funding or financing due to their immigration status. For example, small business administration loans are usually only available to US residents. However, if the LLC is a multi-member LLC with a US citizen member, the LLC could still apply for funding. Cultural and language barriers. Consider carefully whether you will have business partners and the type of business the LLC will ultimately be engaged in. The US has a long history of supporting businesses, of new immigrants, and of international founders. However, communication and cultural differences may arise when working with non-US citizen members. Therefore, it's important to understand and respect cultural norms, as this can foster effective collaboration and teamwork. Last but not least, you've now learned, hey, I can form an LLC and own an LLC as a non-US citizen. You can actually do this with Doola's help. Launching a US-based business can open up new markets and opportunities. The truth is, for most business owners, an LLC is fantastic because it offers liability protection and privacy from a legal business entity with the simplified administration and the pass-through taxation. If you are ready to form an LLC in the USA, Doola can help. You can get Doola's fast and professional formation services in all 50 states, including the most popular state that I mentioned, Wyoming, or Delaware, or any of the other 48 states. You'll also get help with getting your EIN and opening a US business bank account, so you can focus on launching the business or focus on other administrative matters like getting your US visa. Lastly, as a bonus, I want to run through some of the most frequently asked questions we get when it comes to non-US citizens and owning a US LLC. Do non-US citizens have the same rights and responsibilities as US citizens regarding owning an LLC? Non-US citizens or residents are allowed to be members of an LLC, but they must comply with all business laws for LLC ownership. Non-US citizens must meet the same requirements as US citizens or residents. Is there any requirement for non-US citizens to obtain a visa or legal residency status to own an LLC in the US? There are no specific residence or visa requirements to own an LLC in the US. However, if you plan to visit the business or come to the US for business meetings, having a business visa can actually help facilitate that. Can a non-US citizen own multiple LLCs in different states? Yes, non-US citizens can own multiple LLCs in different states. No restrictions exist on who can own or be an LLC member in the United States. Can a non-US citizen use their LLC to obtain a work visa? If you have an LLC, it may make it easier to obtain certain visas in the US. However, it's worth researching B1, E1, and E2 visas to understand if you qualify based on your intent to work in the US. Are there any restrictions on non-US citizens selling their ownership in an LLC? The LLC's operating agreement governs any restrictions to selling ownership in an LLC. There are no restrictions at the state or federal level on non-US citizens selling their ownership in an LLC. Can a non-US citizen hire employees for their LLC in the US? Yes, the LLC may hire employees in the US. The LLC will need an EIN, an employer identification number, a business bank account, and relevant business licenses to hire employees, and they must comply with all tax and annual report filing requirements. Can a non-US citizen be the sole member of an LLC? A non-US citizen can be the sole member of an LLC. However, having a US-based partner can facilitate business administration. Can a non-US citizen open a branch of their foreign company as an LLC in the US? Foreign businesses can register to operate in the US. You don't have to open an LLC in the US, but opening an LLC for your foreign business in order to operate in the US can be a very smart move to protect the business and to protect your personal assets. That's a wrap. Once again, if you're ready to get started, head over to doola.com, click that Get Started button, and we're more than help you to turn that dream idea into your dream business. Thanks so much for watching. Comment down below if you have any other questions, and we can't wait to work with you soon.